In 2022, the great Japanese entrepreneur Inamori Kazuo passed away at the age of 90. In 2015, he was invited to Taiwan to deliver a speech. The content of his speech was profoundly inspiring and illuminated countless minds. Below are the insights shared during that speech in remembrance of this master of life and business philosophy. They also aim to shed light on the meaning of life, providing answers to some of the questions that trouble us all. Why do I exist? In the long journey of life, from birth until now, I have realized one thing. When faced with difficulties, people tend to complain and blame others easily. The more hardships they encounter, the greater their complaints and grievances grow. However, complaints and dissatisfaction with life not only fail to improve the situation, but, on the contrary, lead to self-inflicted consequences, pushing oneself into even worse circumstances. This is the lesson I have drawn from more than 80 years of life. I believe that no matter the circumstances, we must not forget gratitude. Gratitude should be cultivated in every person's heart. We should not only be thankful to those around us, but also express gratitude to society and nature. Maintaining such a beautiful soul is incredibly important. At that time, I was young and deeply troubled by my business. This book profoundly and comprehensively explained the relationship between destiny and cause and effect in life. The author of Yin Che Wen, the Book of Hidden Virtue, is Yuan Liao Fan, a scholar who lived about 400 years ago. One day, in his youth, Yuan Liao Fan encountered a Taoist priest from Yunnan who visited his home. The priest claimed to study the I Ching, Book of Changes, and said he had been guided by heavenly fate to impart the essence of the I Ching to Yuan Liao Fan. One evening, the priest spoke to Yuan Liao Fan's mother about his future. When asked if she intended for her son to become a doctor, she responded affirmatively, saying her family had practiced medicine for generations, and she hoped her son would continue the tradition. The priest, however, replied, No, this child will not become a doctor. He will take the imperial exams and later become a renowned high-ranking official. The priest went on to predict in great detail the exact year Yuan Liao Fan would take the county exam, his rank among the candidates, and when he would advance to the provincial exams, along with his placement. He even foretold when Yuan Liao Fan would take the national exams and his ranking in those as well. The priest concluded, this child will hold the position of a local governor in his youth, then marry, but unfortunately will have no children. His life will end at the age of 53. That evening, the priest, while observing Yuan Liao Fan, recounted his destiny to his mother in meticulous detail. Although the priest's predictions seemed unbelievable, Yuan Liao Fan found them intriguing. Over time, however, every event in his life unfolded exactly as the priest had foretold. His exam results, ranks, and career progression all aligned perfectly with the predictions. This absolute accuracy led Yuan Liao Fan to firmly believe in the priest's words and accept that every person's life was preordained by heaven. Later, Yuan Liao Fan visited Nanjing, where he heard of a renowned Zen master named Venerable Yungu at the famous Shixia Temple. Drawn by curiosity, Yuan Liao Fan sought an audience with the Zen master to ask for guidance. Venerable Yungu warmly welcomed him, saying, "Welcome, welcome." He invited Yuan Liao Fan into the temple and suggested, "Let us meditate together." The two sat in meditation. During meditation, Yuan Liao Fan remained fully focused, his mind pure and free from distractions. Seeing this, the Zen master was full of praise. "This is rare indeed. For someone so young to meditate with such clarity and without stray thoughts, it is remarkable. You must have undergone rigorous training." To this, Yuan Liao Fan replied, "No, master, I have not had any special training." He continued, "Your praise for my clear and undistracted mind reminds me of something. When I was a child, a Taoist priest visited my home and spoke to my mother about my destiny. Everything he predicted has come true. I have married but remained childless, and he said I would die at 53. Because of this, I have no grand ambitions or desires. I simply intend to live out the remainder of my life as it has been fated." Hearing this, Zen Master Yungu's expression turned stern. He reproached Yuan Liao Fan harshly, saying, "I thought you were young, intelligent, and enlightened, but it turns out you are a fool." The Zen Master continued, "Indeed, as the priest said, every person is born with their own destiny. But who would be foolish enough to completely resign themselves to fate and live their life accordingly? Fate is something that can be changed. In this world, the law of cause and effect always exists. Think good thoughts and do good deeds, and your destiny will change for the better. Conversely, think bad thoughts and do bad deeds, and your destiny will shift in a negative direction. This principle of cause and effect seems to govern the lives of all people. Zen Master Yun Gu patiently and earnestly taught Yuan Liaofan this truth. Being a person of integrity, Yuan Liaofan was deeply moved by the master's guidance. After returning home from the temple, he said to his wife, "Today, I met the Zen master and learned an important principle. From now on, I will do my best to think good thoughts and perform good deeds." His wife, an intelligent and upright woman, resonated with his words and replied, "If you think this way, I will follow your lead. From now on, we will both strive to think and do good together." As the narrative shifts in Yin Qi Wen, it transitions to a scene where Yuan Liaofan tells his story to his son. He said, "My son, my life is exactly as I have recounted. I was fortunate to meet Zen Master Yun Gu and hear his teachings on the law of cause and effect. Your mother and I carefully discussed it and decided that, no matter how trivial the matter, we would always think good thoughts and do good deeds, persevering together. As a result, you, a child once deemed impossible to be born, came into the world. My fate was to die at the age of 53, yet here I am, nearly 70 years old, and still healthy." The story Yuan Liaofan told his son summarized the essence of Yin Qi Wen. When I read this book, I was a young manager of a small to medium enterprise, constantly worried about the threat of an unexpected economic crisis that could lead to bankruptcy. But no matter what, I was determined not to let my company collapse. I resolved to sustain and grow the business, protect my employees, and work tirelessly to earn the trust of our shareholders. For this, I endured immense suffering and anxiety. At the same time, as a young man, I wrestled with the uncertainties of life, unsure how to live rightly amidst so much unpredictability. It was during this period of distress and confusion that I came across this book. Reading it, I suddenly thought, so this is how it is. If this is true, I should live my life according to the principles of cause and effect outlined in this book. Regardless of how fate unfolds, I will strive to think good thoughts and do good deeds to live a life of value. This idea took root powerfully in me after reading Yin Qi Wen. At that time, I was just 27 years old, still very young, and a recently graduated engineer from a technical university. Being accustomed to logical and rational thinking, I wanted to believe that thinking and doing good would transform life for the better. However, I found it difficult to fully convince myself of the law of cause and effect in the depths of my heart. While I was struggling to convince myself, I happened to hear an astrophysicist presenting a theory about the formation of the universe. He explained that the universe we live in, 13.7 billion years ago, was just a tiny, fundamental particle about the size of a fist, with extremely high temperature and pressure. This particle exploded, forming the universe as we know it today, and it continues to expand even now. This is the Big Bang Theory. Hearing this argument, I began to believe deeply in the existence of the law of cause and effect. The universe initially was just a small fundamental particle, yet it has never ceased to develop, not even for a moment. Eventually, after an arduous 13.7 billion years, it brought about humankind, a highly advanced species. Perhaps in this universe, there exists a law that drives all things to continuously grow and evolve. Or, we could say that there is an energy flowing through the universe, guiding everything from inorganic and organic matter to all living beings, constantly toward better development. When I heard this advanced Big Bang Theory from astrophysics, I strongly felt that the universe contains a loving, nurturing force that guides everything. At the same time, I realized that because we live in such a universe, the wishes we carry and the actions we take are of profound importance. In this universe, nature's will seems to guide everything toward the good, spreading love and compassion to all, wishing for everything to be well. Since we humans live in a universe that promotes the growth and positive development of all things, giving everything the opportunity to thrive and be happy, we only need to follow the universe's will. Think good thoughts, do good deeds, and our destiny will certainly change for the better. The law of cause and effect mentioned in Yin Chi Wen is not superstition. If explained using the Big Bang theory in astrophysics, the reasoning is entirely logical. When I reflected and deeply understood this, I wholeheartedly accepted and believed in the existence of the law of cause and effect. From a scientific perspective, the law of cause and effect clearly exists. Therefore, I decided to follow this law to make my life more beautiful and meaningful. This strengthened my faith. However, even with belief in the law of cause and effect and acting in accordance with it, life is not always easy. Sometimes unexpected disasters occur, while at other times, good fortune suddenly arrives. Life is a mixture of joys and sorrows, and I have journeyed through it step by step. In this process, I worked hard to manage my business, faced numerous difficulties, and also experienced my share of luck. I realized that all of these are life's challenges. At the same time, I became aware that the way we face these challenges will determine the course of our future lives. Nature gives each person many trials throughout their life. These trials can sometimes be misfortunes, but other times they may be opportunities. Even good fortune itself can become a challenge. When we enter a period of prosperity and enjoy a fortunate life, we often forget humility, becoming arrogant, wasteful, or even looking down on others. At that time, our character could also change. Ultimately, forgetting humility and fostering arrogance could cause us to lose the favor of fortune and fall into the abyss of life. By simply observing such cases, we can understand that not only misfortunes but also fortunes are challenges bestowed by the divine. I believe that whether facing misfortune or fortune, the way we confront and act will impact our future lives. With this mindset, I decided that, whether facing misfortune or fortune, regardless of the challenge, I would accept it with gratitude. Even in the face of adversity, I would maintain gratitude and embrace the challenges of misfortune. I would think that the divine and nature brought these profound hardships to me, perhaps to help me realize something or to remind me through these trials. Therefore, I should express my gratitude to nature for bringing these challenges. Furthermore, I believe that each of us has the courage and strong will to overcome difficulties and live resiliently. No matter what kind of misfortune we face, we should not succumb to it, but confront reality with enthusiasm, greater courage, and determination to overcome challenges without yielding. When people encounter misfortune, they often blame the heavens and the earth, questioning why misfortune happens to them, then falling into sadness, grief, or even neglecting themselves. However, if we keep complaining and uttering words of blame, life will become increasingly bleak. I believe that we should never let ourselves fall into a state of pessimism and despair. Regardless of the misfortune we face, we should view it as a challenge from the divine, calmly accept it, remain optimistic, and strive to move forward. As I pondered this way, I gradually formed my own perspective on life. While I feel a bit shy sharing specific experiences from my life, I still want to share my story with others. I was born in Kagoshima City, located in the southwestern part of Japan. When I was in elementary school, I was not an outstandingly intelligent child, but merely a mischievous one, often leading games. During World War II, I took the entrance exam for the most prestigious junior high school in Kagoshima, but due to not studying diligently, I failed. The following year, I tried again, but failed once more. At that time, I was only 12 years old and unfortunately contracted tuberculosis. In the fear of potentially dying at any moment, I fought the illness and eventually overcame the high fever. Later, I applied to a private junior high school and was fortunate enough to be accepted. During that time, amidst World War II, my family's house was bombed by American planes and reduced to ashes. My father, who ran a printing business, lost his job. After the war, we lived in poverty on the remnants of the burned-down land. Due to the difficult circumstances and limited family resources, my parents had no intention of sending me to college. Thanks to the persuasion of my high school teacher, my parents eventually agreed to let me continue my studies. However, I did not pass the entrance exams for the prestigious universities I aspired to. In the end, I enrolled in the applied chemistry department of a local university. After graduating in 1955, I entered the job market. At that time, only 10 years had passed since the war, and many areas were still affected by its remnants, while the Korean War had just ended. It was a very challenging time to find employment. No company was willing to hire me. During that period, graduates from local universities, no matter how excellent their academic records were, struggled to secure positions at top companies headquartered in Tokyo or Osaka. My university advisor, seeing my unfortunate situation, helped me find a job at a ceramics company in Kyoto. This company specialized in manufacturing high-voltage insulators. However, when I started working there, I realized that despite its long history, the company had been suffering financial losses since the war. There were constant labor disputes within the company, with all 5 workers demanding higher wages and bonuses. Even the salary of a new employee like myself was delayed starting from the first month. It was a company where even paying salaries on time in the first month was delayed by 1 to 2 weeks. I had just started working in April, but by autumn, all of my newly graduated colleagues had quit. I was the only one left. In such difficult times, if I quit without finding a new job, I wouldn't know where to go. Moreover, in my family, aside from my older brother, I had 5 younger siblings who needed financial support. Therefore, I couldn't abandon the job without an alternative. With no other choice, I decided to stay at the company and focus entirely on researching advanced ceramics in the company's humble laboratory. At that time, I felt my life was full of disappointment and lacked an escape. To escape reality and forget the hardships in my life, I became completely absorbed in my research. That's why I moved household items like pots and dishes into the laboratory to dedicate all my efforts to my work. Instead of blaming fate or neglecting myself, I decided to pour all my energy into my research. By thinking this way, I no longer felt resentment or dissatisfaction. Instead, I could focus entirely on my work. Despite the lack of modern research equipment, I used my creativity to improve everything, which not only made the research progress smoothly, but also achieved encouraging results. As a result, I received praise from my superiors. After publishing the results, I was lauded by scientists and received recognition. This motivated me even more, and the harder I worked, the smoother the research progressed, creating a positive cycle. From that point on, my fate began to change and steadily improve in a positive direction. It is because of this personal experience that I naturally formed the belief that hardships and misfortunes are challenges bestowed upon us by the divine, and we need to accept them calmly, stay optimistic, and always strive to move forward. Reflecting on my life journey, from the misfortunes of my childhood and early career to the improvements in my fate, I deeply realize that the law of cause and effect truly exists in this world. The result of this law is absolutely true. From the bottom of my heart, I believe in the law of cause and effect. When I was 27, I founded Kyocera, and today the company's revenue has exceeded 14 trillion yen, becoming an indispensable manufacturer in Japan's industrial sector. Additionally, my second company, KDDI, a telecommunications group I founded 30 years ago, has achieved a revenue of more than 43 trillion yen through mobile network services and developed into an excellent company. The combined annual profits of these 2 companies have now surpassed 8 trillion yen, making both of them extremely successful enterprises. Recently, I also became involved in the restructuring of Japan Airlines, a Japanese airline company. With the simple and pure motivation of doing good and contributing to society, I believe the power of doing good not only saved a company on the brink of bankruptcy, but also helped transform it into a high-performance enterprise. Looking back, I believe that the success in restructuring Japan Airlines was also the result of consistently striving to think and act kindly. At the end of 2009, the Japanese government and the Business Restructuring Agency urgently reached out to me, asking me to take on the role of chairman of Japan Airlines in order to restructure the company, which was on the verge of bankruptcy. Since I was entirely an outsider in the airline industry, and considering my advanced age, I hesitated about whether to accept the position. Initially, I felt I was not suitable for the role and declined several times. Additionally, my friends and family strongly opposed the idea. Some even worried that I might lose my dignity in my later years. However, after careful consideration and in line with the life philosophy I have followed since my youth, which is to contribute to humanity and regard this as the most noble action, along with three main reasons, I decided to accept the position of chairman of Japan Airlines. However, due to my age, I requested to work only 3 days a week. Moreover, my home was in Kyoto, and my wife also lived there. If I accepted this job, I would have to live in a hotel in Tokyo, so I wanted to limit my work to 3 days a week. I also requested not to receive any salary due to the limited work schedule. Even though I had agreed to take the job, I had no knowledge of the airline industry at that time, and I had no resources at my disposal. The media and magazines expressed skepticism, thinking that restructuring Japan Airlines was a difficult task for anyone, let alone someone from a manufacturing and engineering background like myself. However, my belief remained unshaken. I believed that restructuring Japan Airlines had three important meanings based on the spirit of altruism. The first meaning was to restore the Japanese economy. Japan Airlines was not only one of the companies representing the country, but also a symbol of the prolonged economic downturn in Japan. If Japan Airlines couldn't be successfully restructured and went bankrupt for the second time, it would not only cause a severe shock to the Japanese economy, but also make the people lose confidence in themselves. On the contrary, if the restructuring succeeded, it would inspire the people. They would think that if a company as bad as Japan Airlines could be reborn, then Japan's economy could surely recover. The second reason was for the employees who were still working at Japan Airlines. Although it was unfortunate that in order to successfully restructure the company, I had to cut some staff, Japan Airlines was still able to retain 32,000 employees. I felt compelled to do everything I could to secure jobs for these employees. If they lost their jobs, it would be truly heartbreaking. The third reason was the benefit of the public, specifically protecting the rights of passengers. If Japan Airlines went bankrupt, Japan would only have one major airline. At that point, the competition mechanism would disappear, ticket prices would rise, and service quality could decline. This would surely not be good for the public. Only when there is a healthy and fair competitive environment with multiple airlines competing and learning from each other can passengers receive reasonable prices and better services. Therefore, the existence of Japan Airlines was absolutely necessary. Considering these three major reasons, driven by a spirit of altruism, I decided to take on the role of chairman of Japan Airlines and put my full energy into the restructuring process. After assuming the position, I made efforts to help the employees of Japan Airlines understand these three significant meanings. I helped them realize that the restructuring of Japan Airlines was not just for themselves, but for the community and the greater good, a noble and meaningful goal. As a result, the employees devoted themselves fully and actively participated in the restructuring process. Fortunately, the employees of Japan Airlines, upon seeing that I, despite my age, did not hesitate to take on the responsibility of restructuring, a task everyone thought was difficult, felt moved. They also knew that I was not receiving any compensation but was still working hard. This touched them. Initially, I had planned to work only 3 days a week. However, once I started the job, my working hours at the Japan Airlines headquarters increased from 3 days a week to 4. Eventually, at nearly 80 years old, I spent most of my time at a hotel in Tokyo. My life at that time was centered around eating 2 rice balls bought from a convenience store every day. The employees saw that I was dedicating myself entirely to the task of restructuring Japan Airlines. They felt deeply that Mr. Inamori, despite having no direct connection to Japan Airlines, was working so hard. We as employees of this company must strive even harder. After taking office, I immediately declared that the new operational goal of Japan Airlines was to pursue both material and spiritual happiness for all employees. I kept emphasizing this to the staff. The employees understood that the purpose of Japan Airlines' existence was not for shareholders or the personal gain of executives, but to bring happiness to all employees. With this strong belief, I conveyed the message to everyone and turned my business philosophy into the new foundation for operating Japan Airlines. In this way, the employees realized that Japan Airlines was their own company. From then on, they shared a strong determination to face the challenge of restructuring. As a result, everyone, from the leadership to ordinary employees, worked with a spirit of self-sacrifice and dedication. Additionally, I shared my life philosophy, business philosophy, and way of thinking with the executives and employees of Japan Airlines. I made an effort to explain that, in order to achieve the goal of restructuring Japan Airlines and bringing both material and spiritual happiness to all employees, they needed to apply these values, ways of thinking, and standards in their work. I would love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a comment below the video with what you've learned and how you plan to apply it in your daily life. Your feedback could inspire others on their journey, so don't hesitate to share. And if you find this video helpful, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to receive more valuable content like this.